Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I hope you are doing great, as I'm doing right now for some reason, even though I didn't really sleep that well. Because, well, had to get the Hydrostadt today. Nevertheless, today I really want to have a look with you at the common test iteration 2 changes, or rather what happened in the 1.5.1 test server iteration 2. Because I basically made for every tier, for the Leopard 1, for the Leopard PTA, for the Type 61 and for the STB 1, I gave my feedback, my personal feedback already from the first iteration and gave some conclusion on what could be made better and what might be even to be too much. So, and now common test iteration 2, well, more or less came around after, well, basically Wargaming keeping me on my toes with the black market and everything which I had to do. So now I finally want to take my time to have a look and, well, give my conclusion and my feedback to what happened in the 1.5.1 test server. The first thing and the biggest thing I only really want to skim over because I already talked about this specific feature in my Salvation video. But overall, when it comes to feedback to the Crewbooks, first of all, I like the idea. My problem is, however, that at the moment the personal training manual looks way too strong for just being one person, and I would like if we have an alternation, like the booklet maybe gives 25,000 experience per person if you have a 100% crew. The guide, instead of giving 100,000 for the whole crew, should give 100,000 for only one specific person. The training manual, well, I would keep it as is, and the personal training manual keep it as is. My point is only that the two lowest, the training booklet gets instead of 20,000, 25,000 experience to all crew members when they're at 100% in their respective tank, and the training guide should get whatever tank it is, whatever the crew is, at what level the crew is, should give 100,000 experience. And my explanation to that is quite simple. I want that new players have the choice to say either I'm going to use, for example, let's just think about a new player having 3 training guides. 3 times he can get 100,000 experience. So now he could maybe say, you know what, guys, I'm just going to do, well, maybe 100,000 for my commander, 100,000 for my gunner, 100,000 for my loader. Or he can say, you know what, my commander is the most important one. He's at the moment at 80%. I'm going to use all 3 manuals, get him up to snuff, give him a 100% base qualification and the first skill, which should in that case be 6th Sense. And I would also like to suggest to Wargaming to think about the possibility until we have the crew rework, if there will be a crew rework, of them giving us the option to get 0% skills, crew skills, like a 6th Sense, which is basically for free. Like you get a booklet which has a 6th Sense in it. This could be given out to new players, like maybe a new player gets like 2 booklets or 3 booklets with 6th Sense in it, so they can say, oh yeah, I just brought myself a new Panzer IV. I'm going to give my commander instantly a 6th Sense skills and that's it. It might be just an 80% commander, but at least he has 6th Sense. This is basically what I have to say about the crew booklets. For the people which think, oh yeah, they're devaluing my crews, yes, that's true, but again, I want to argue, I rather have a system which helps new players get into the game than having an old system which makes old players even stronger. And yes, I know that old players or older players have a lot more money to use and spend to get a training manual which has a decent chunk of experience in it. Yet I still think that if Wargaming decides to give new players like free training manuals, they can help the new players a lot. Plus, we shouldn't forget the training booklets and training guides are merit rewards. You can get them for free for just playing the game. And the training manual and the personal training manual are basically just from rewards. So that is it, what I wanted to say about this. Now, first things first, Leopard 1. My personal biggest critic about this tank is, or the critique was, the nerf to the movement, or rather to the reverse speed, which was, in my opinion, just mind-boggling why exactly this happened. And second, I still think the tank is not as accurate as it should be, but this is just a pure problem of how exactly World of Tanks works. And lastly, my third problem is the mobility. Even though, or no, not the mobility, we already talked about it, it's the DPM. The DPM is, in my opinion, it's might be a little bit biased, but it's not one of the best DPMs in the game. And I have to say, for being a tank with no real armor, it feels a little bit sad when you have one of the worst DPMs in the game. So it's not really that cool. To just give you a taste of what I'm thinking, those are just some tier 10 medium tanks, and as you might see, the Leopard 1 is only better than the E50M and the M60 and the 430U. All the other medium tanks have better DPMs than the Leopard 1. The STB-1 now gaining a very strong turret and 12 degrees of gun depression, although they're a little bit finicky to use. The 140 being an all-round incredible great medium. The AMX 30B getting with most likely 1.5.2, a new rework which makes it even closer to the Leopard 1 playstyle. Centurion Action X even having a stronger turret again, and 10 degrees of gun depression. So overall, my biggest problem right now is that for the Leopard 1 being a mobile sniper tank with no armor and pretty bad concealment, most other tanks can do the same thing the Leopard 1 does, but better, because they have a better DPM and somewhat armor they can more or less rely on. Best example would be the UDAS 1516, although the UDAS 1516 has his own bag of problems, which would be, for example, its very slow shell velocity. Nevertheless, the gun itself feels a lot more comfortable to use on the Leopard 1. Still, I want to bargain for more DPM. Give it something around, 2,900 DPM, or 3000 DPM even, because it's still a little bit sad to know the K91 has better DPM, the Object 130 has a better DPM, the STB-1 has a better DPM. All of those tanks, especially the K91, can do the same thing the Leopard 1 does, but actually better, because it also has a turret, which is actually useful. And I'm going to say so far even that the Leopard or the K91 can be much more effective than the Leopard 1 when the player knows what it's doing, because the K91 has a turret which allows at least 50% of the shots fired at it to be bounced, where the Leopard 1 is like, ow, every shot hurts. So, nevertheless, I'm happy to see that the 23 km per hour backward speeds are back, because they were crucial for the survivability of this tank. So, kudos to that. We have to say when they're doing something good. So, the next tank which got changed is the Leopard PTA. So, they changed the whole traverse speed from 36 to 39 degrees for the stock turrets, and from 40 to 44 degrees for the top tracks. Excuse me, not turret, obviously tracks. This is also something which I thought is a little bit of that it wasn't that decent from the mobility wise. This tank, however, lost its 23 km per hour backward speed for good, but it gained a better engine, which is very welcome, even though it's still worse than the one it had before. For that, the tank or the shells are slightly slower, and I have to accept this, because I do think the tank would have been maybe a little bit overpowered, or maybe a little bit too strong compared to the Leopard 1. But again, we have a better engine now. We have 278 base penetration. We have 323 millimeters of APCR penetration. And again, we have more HP to ton ratio. Overall, I think the changes they did to the Leopard PTA, you can see them here, are very, very well worth it what we have to pay for. And what we have to pay for is basically 7% slower shell velocity. All those changes to the Leopard PTA are awesome, and they will feel very, 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 very well on the tank. Also, the Indian Panzer got a better engine, which is also very great for this tank. Although, now I really have to say a word of thinking. Like, where is the sense in getting the Leopard 1? This is now my personal question to you guys. Why do you think at the moment it is worth to get the Leopard 1 when the Leopard PTA, yes, it has worse it has worse DPM, it has worse accuracy, aim time and accuracy, although both stats are very minimal, and it has a slightly worse power to weight ratio and worse top speed and reverse speed. However, everything the Leopard PTA does is almost equal to what the Leopard 1 does. So right now I'm just kind of sad that the Leopard 1 just doesn't feel like an upgrade. The best example, in my personal opinion, would be the difference between the youuuu 16 and the youuuu 1516, because there, bam dude, there you feel the upgrade. The upgrade you get from those two tanks, like, it plays like night and day difference, and this is amazing, and it feels amazing. So we're just going to get those two tanks in as well, so you can also see what I mean, although we miss gun stabilization stats. But again, when you have a look at the Leopard and Leopard PTA difference, penetration is now the same. Yes, the rate of fire is worse. You can see we have almost a second long reload time, which obviously goes into the DPM, and it's worse 400. It's 400 worse. But here is the big difference. When we look, this is the difference between the Leopard 1 and the Leopard PTA, 411. But when we look at the youuuu 1516, we have over 680 difference. Now the question is the youuuu 1516 overperforming? Is the youuuu 16 underperforming? Or do those two tanks actually feel like an upgrade? I would say the tanks feel actually like an upgrade. The youuuu 16 as well as the youuuu 1516 are both tanks which felt great to play. Except for the youuuu 16 sometimes felt like a shotgun. It really felt like a shotgun. So, this difference or this lack of difference is just kind of meh. Here again, we have 300 HP difference between the tier 9 and tier 9 suite. And here we have 150 HP difference or hit points difference between the Leopard 1 and the PTA. Again, it's a little bit meh at best. The horsepower HP to ton ratio is once again pretty underwhelming. Also right now I just have to look to not... Okay, we have to put in the good... Okay, let's just to be fair, because this tank has, we have frozen arms, situation awareness, recon. Okay, sorry, I have to do this, otherwise it won't be too fair, because as you can see, we have here frozen arm, recon, and situational awareness. Okay, good. To make it fair, okay, we also have to make it fair here. Oh, never mind, Leopard PTA has everything. Excuse me, I didn't want to talk bogus here. But and my Leopard 1, yes, has the same, also places chocolate. Okay, so now we are 100% fair. So the DPM didn't change at all, so it's still 1 second difference. And funny enough is between the tier 9 and tier 8 suite, it's 0.84 seconds. Just the tier 10 suite has more alpha, 550 damage more alpha. So that is just really, it just feels like meh. It just feels really meh, the difference between those two tanks. 411 against 618 DPM. The power to weight ratio doesn't change marginally by 0.33. And well, the tier 10 tank actually loses power to weight ratio. But the soft stats are much better in the tier 10 tanks, so they make up for this problem. Fuel range, however, I think the Leopard 1 has a better base fuel range. But I think I put my point over. The Leopard 1 doesn't feel like an upgrade from the Leopard PTA. And if the tank comes out like this, I can 100% certainly say to you guys, do not waste 6.1 million credits in the Leopard 1, because the Leopard PTA is tier for tier a much better tank and will feel much better in general. Because don't forget, this tank has still 278 millimeters of APCR penetration, 323 standard penetration. Yeah, it's the same gun basically what the tier 10 has. And it has better stabilization now from CT1. Again, I do not recommend at the moment at CT2 to get the Leopard 1 when you have the Leopard PTA. And lastly, one final tank which got changed is the Type 61. And the Type 61, what got changed is very, very well, because that is exactly what I thought was the biggest problem. And the biggest problem was the lack of shells. Because of the new gun, you only had like 32 shots, but you shot incredible fast. And that is amazing. Like, your new DPM is wonderful and you can do so much with it. And with the big engine, this tank feels incredible fun. And I'm 100% sure to say that the Leopard, the Type 61 is the tank which, well, basically made the best out of it. This is the tank which had the biggest upgrade from all tanks which got changed. And now with the additional not HP, with the additional shells, this tank is in an awesome state. What I'm missing, however, is the STB1. The STB1, I still recommend giving it 8 degrees of gun depression base and 4 degrees through the hydropneumatic suspension, because at the moment the hydropneumatic suspension feels finicky to use. I already explained this, and they did not change anything. And the other thing is, why exactly does the Type 61 has better dispersion values during turret traverse than the tier 10 tank? Doesn't really make sense, does it? This is also a point which I am not really happy about, because it doesn't really make sense, and I'm still fairly confident in saying that I will perform better in a tier 9 tank than I will in a tier 10 tank, quite simply because the tier 9 tank has better gun stabilization during turret traverse, has 10 degrees of gun depression all around except for his butt, and it doesn't rely on a finicky, what's it called, a finicky mechanic, which doesn't really feel good to use. But here again, as a little comparison, there is it. We have 0.02 more accuracy during turret traverse. But yeah, I do think that's it for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about CT2, and if you are with me in this one, I'm recommending, or I'm going to put down the link to the forum posts for the English and the American forum to give your personal opinion on those different tanks, because again, it might doesn't sound that much, but if we are collectively loud, maybe there will be changes to those tanks, and I'm lucky to see that the reverse speed got changed. Maybe partly to me, maybe partly to you guys as a community. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, well, not daily, but more just videos about World of Tanks and its mechanics, guides, and what is coming up next. So, have a good start in the week and good luck in the black market.